Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily. I'm your host, Dave Gasper. Lots to get to here on a Monday show. We got some news from the World Baseball Classic. We got some news from Brewers camp, some recent camp cuts as well, and also a mammoth home run from an unlikely source. But I want to start with the World Baseball Classic that got started in earnest on Friday and has continued here over the weekend. And the Brewers have been showing up and showing out in large part. For Team USA, Bryce Terang for Game 1 of the World Baseball Classic against Brazil. Bryce Terang just has a cool 3 hits with a pair of doubles, 4 RBIs, and a stolen base. Hit batting ninth in the order for Team USA as they put up 15 on Brazil. Just beautiful. You just absolutely love to see it. There were so many complaints from Orioles fans that I saw on social media saying, why isn't Gunnar Henderson in there? Why are they starting Bryce Terang over Gunnar Henderson? And Bryce Terang just absolutely rakes. And he's showing everyone why he was in there over Gunnar Henderson. And then Henderson the next day had a pretty solid game in and of itself. There's a lot of really good players on Team USA. But they end up getting wins in their first 2 games. Andrew Fisher for Team Italy hit a bomb the other day. So that was huge, being able to get that for him. Also, for Team Venezuela, you got Jackson Chourio, who is dealing with a bruised hand because he got hit on the pitch hit by a pitch during an exhibition game. Just held out of the lineup for the first game, but was back in there on Saturday, so he's still good to go. No real concerns there. But him, William Contreras, playing well for Team Venezuela. Abner Uribe has gotten into pitch for the Dominican Republic. Had a clean inning in their game over the weekend, and showcasing some new celebrations, which I absolutely love, because Uribe is fantastic at that. His celebrations, emotes, whatever it is that you want to call them, he brings it on those. So very excited to see that. And then, you see Miles Langhorne, Jack Seppings for Team Great Britain as they kind of get shelled a little bit. Team Great Britain already eliminated. They already cannot move out of pool play from the World Baseball Classic here. It stinks, but also not entirely surprising considering it's Team Great Britain, who the USA also beat in pool play on Saturday, which was also very great to see. But the Brewers are showing up pretty well in the World Baseball Classic, so very excited for these guys. Nicaragua, the Brewers have a couple of players on Team Nicaragua. They lost a heartbreaker. They were up 3-1 in the 9th inning. They were 1 out away from their first ever World Baseball Classic win, and they give up a walk-off 3-run homer. That just stings right there. But it was not Carlos Rodriguez. It was not one of the Brewers pitchers that gave that up. But still, that is a stinger as the World Baseball Classic goes along. Going back now into Brewers camp, the starting rotation is beginning to take shape here as camp is continuing to go along. Pat Murphy telling reporters over the weekend that Chad Patrick has indeed made the starting rotation. We can write that down. We can put it in there. Chad Patrick will be in the opening day starting rotation. So congratulations to Chad. Well deserved, honestly. Last year he came up. No one really expected a whole ton out of him, but he came up and he shoved. He was absolutely fantastic for the Brewers in his action, earning regular time. Ended up having to get sent back down for a little bit, but comes back and pitches in some big moments, some big games, especially in the postseason as well. Chad Patrick certainly earned a rotation spot. And with the concerns still lingering about Quinn Priester and Brandon Woodruff, more so Quinn Priester, I think, that does kind of keep another spot potentially open, but it also helps lock in Chad Patrick, who has certainly earned it. So very excited for Chad that he's going to be in there. So Patrick's going to be in there. When healthy, Priester and Woodruff are going to be in there. Miz is going to be in there. So that leaves essentially one more spot, and potentially 2, depending on if Priester needs an IL stint. And that could go to Kyle Harrison, who on Sunday's game went 3 innings with 8 strikeouts. Not bad. He's showcasing some improved stuff. He's been working in the pitching lab, and he's been looking a whole lot better So that's certainly a way that they could go. You got Brandon Sproat, who's been pitching well. You got a number of candidates in this group. You still have Logan Henderson, Robert Gasser, who are fighting for spots. So lots of different routes the Brewers could go for that starting rotation initially here. They're going to end up using all of them as the season goes along, but for the initial one, that's what the battles are going to be down to. But Chad Patrick now has earned a spot, and a couple have been eliminated as well. Coleman Crow has been sent out or been optioned to AAA Nashville. So he was added to the 40-man roster at the beginning of the offseason, and he's a starting pitcher. He's someone that was really kind of on the outskirts of the starting pitching competition, but still he was in it and showcasing some very, very good stuff. But the Brewers made a round of camp cuts here over the weekend. Coleman Crow was part of it. He got optioned to AAA Nashville. Also getting sent out were a couple of other young pitchers as well from the group. And the Brewers, they sent out, beyond Coleman Crow, Tate Keener and Drew Rum. Both of those guys are lefties. They're non-roster invitees. Tate Keener was someone who I talked about on this show that fans should keep an eye on, and I still believe that they should keep an eye on him. He's going to be in AAA this season, and he's got a chance to be a big part of this team going forward, but he's not going to be making it initially. As a non-roster invitee, with all the guys that they already had on the roster, it was a major uphill battle. He hadn't done anything in AAA yet, so it's not surprising. But still, he ends up making it in this round of camp cuts, as does Drew Rom, who we've seen in a couple of Cactus League games, but non-roster invitee. He's going to be filler at AAA Nashville this season. So just those three cuts that the Brewers have made so far here, and they had a couple earlier. Eduardo Garcia was cut. Garrison Garabito, who had to have surgery. So not a ton of cuts so far in camp. A lot of these non-roster invitees, a lot of these guys are still in big league camp. Now, part of that is the World Baseball Classic is still going on. So the Brewers have a ton of players out of camp, a ton of their starters out. So they can't necessarily send out everyone else until those guys start returning. Because you simply need the bodies in camp to go through stuff. So that's where those stand. That's where the camp cuts stand as we head into a new week here. Speaking of the rotation, how that's been taking shape, I want to talk about this that I saw from over the weekend as well. Freddy Peralta talking with the New York Mets about what kind of contract he wants, because he's heading into the last year of his deal. And John Heyman reporting that Freddy Peralta wants 7 or 8 years on his next contract. And look, all I can think of when I saw this is exactly why the Brewers traded him. If you were still kind of on the fence, or you wanted Freddie to stick around, which I totally get, being a fan, the emotional connection, Freddy Peralta, obviously a fan favorite in Milwaukee. But when he wants 7 or 8 years, there is no chance the Brewers are giving him that. Zero. Zip, zilch, none. I don't care how good he's been. I don't care how much they love him. I don't care how good of a person he is. They are not going to give a guy 7 or 8 years as a pitcher. It's just not going to happen. Especially a pitcher who is very closely approaching 30. If not 30 already. Is he 30? I should probably know this off the top of my head. But still, for a guy like that, as much as I love Freddy Peralta, no, he's 29. He will turn 30 soon. But when you're going to be hitting 30 there, giving him 7 or 8 years, the Brewers can't afford to take that kind of a risk, take that kind of a gamble. A team like the New York Mets, they can afford to sign a pitcher for 7 years to his age 37 season, and just, if it doesn't go well, they can just spend more money elsewhere to fix the problem. The Brewers can't do that. Not in the way the system is currently set up, which is part of the reason why everyone's pushing for a salary cap, myself included. So, and the Mets aren't even sure if they want to give that kind of a deal, because they're run by David Stearns, who is here in Milwaukee, and he kind of learned, hey, giving those kinds of long-term deals to pitchers is not a wise move, and he's carrying that over in large part to New York, despite the fact that he has a ton more money to play with over there. He's still carrying over some of that small market mentality. So, love Freddy Peralta. I think he deserves a big time contract. He took a team friendly deal the first time around when he didn't have to, when his agent advised him not to, and forever love and appreciate him for that. But, I fully support him going and trying to get the bag here and trying to get as long term of deal as possible. I'm just not sure if he's going to be able to get it. So I don't know if he can get 7 or 8 years. Maybe he can get 5 or 6. We shall see. But if you're wondering why did the Brewers trade Freddy Peralta still, that's why. Right there. All right, finally here, what I want to wrap up with is an unlikely prospect who hit a massive home run at American Family Fields of Phoenix, 477 feet off the light pole in left field, turning on an inside fastball. Ethan Murray. Ethan Murray was a 5th-round pick several years ago out of Duke. He's a utility infielder. He is not really that highly regarded as a prospect. I have him on my top 50 list near the bottom at 47. He's at 47 on my top 50 Brewers prospects list. Utility guy. He's got some decent pop, can hit for a decent average, but nothing really special offensively, nothing that special defensively besides his versatility. So, he's really a utility guy. That's his ceiling at this next level. And if you had told me a Brewers prospect hit a 477-foot bomb, I'd be like, oh, Brock Wilken, Andrew Fisher, Blake Burke, Luke Adams. Any one of those guys would be like, oh, yeah, totally. That makes a ton of sense. But no, it was Ethan Murray. That's... Hey, good for him. That's probably opened some eyeballs in the organization for him. Pat Murphy sitting there watching that. It's like, oh, who in the hell is this kid? What kind of power does he got? If he's got that in the tank, my goodness. But so maybe Ethan Murray putting himself on the radar a little bit, especially with that infield depth a little bit shallow for the Brewers after having traded away Caleb Durbin and Andrew Monasterio and Anthony Siegler. That leaves really Luis Rengifo, David Hamilton, and now Jet Williams in the mix as really the only guys there for those spots. And Ethan Murray, with that utility spot kind of up for grabs long term, maybe he can squeeze himself in there. Maybe make a really good impression on this Brewers coaching staff. Because when you hit a 477-foot homer, you're going to catch the attention of some of the coaches. That is just without a doubt. So perhaps if a need pops up in the infield this year, Ethan Murray ends up getting that call. Because of a home run like this, that could very well happen. That's what spring training really is kind of about for a lot of these non-roster invitees and a lot of these guys over from camp. It's your chance to play in front of the major league coaches. And when the coaches are in the season, they're in June, July, whatever it is, someone goes down and they need a body, and they're trying to think of, okay, who can we get to help us? I'm going to think of that guy that hit the light tower. Because why wouldn't you want that guy up on your squad? So, Ethan Murray, a little bit of a surprise prospect there, coming up with a big-time homer, and perhaps putting himself on the radar here for Brewers coaches. Spring training continuing here for the Brewers as things go along. It will be a TV game today, so that's very exciting. Brewers.tv. They still haven't put out a channel for cable or anything like that for it. That'll be for the regular season. They haven't quite done that yet, but Brewers.tv, you're going to have to look it up online or your MLB.tv account. That's where it's going to be for the time being. Not quite linear just yet, but that's where the game's going to be today. So very excited for that. Brewers continuing here in spring training. We are continuing on Brewers Daily, so be sure to follow and subscribe and get notified every single time a new episode drops. Follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. Appreciate you enjoying, and we'll see you again next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.